one mention of Ehud Barak, which says, do you ever remember meeting Prime Minister Ehud Barak of Israel? Answer, no. So
yeah, but there's
that's the mention that we have out of these documents. I'm not saying there isn't more to come.
But
this is they're asking one person, and there's multiple victims. Yeah, we have to keep in mind that this is a subset of docs.
Yeah, I just want to break in. I just had a message from somebody that Fox News also reported the Stephen Hawking naked midget chalkboard information. So, it's going to be out there. I haven't seen it myself. This is a gentleman I trust implicitly, so I'm sure that he saw it.
That's the question. Get it from me.
I'd be surprised because we deleted it. We deleted it within minutes and then posted it.
I got to say one thing too.
But everyone posted it. But yeah, go ahead.
In the time, right? And Barak met with Epstein 30 times in 2013, 2017 that they know of. And this is after he had already been convicted. So even though he's not mentioned, it's clear the connections exist. And you have to ask yourself why the former leader of Israel would be meeting with Epstein. I'm sorry, you can point to, like everybody said, just this thing is not conclusive, but what you can draw from this are inferences of people who have lied regarding their associations and connections, so they've been caught in lies. And that in itself adds fuel to the fire, right? They don't, I'll leave it at that.
And, I want to mention, I got further, again, one time about the Trump thing, just add some context to the argument. The only other mention of Donald Trump in this document, because I keep hearing about it on the stage here, I keep hearing about it down there in the comment section, it's fine, I'm reading it. But anyway, the only thing that I'm hearing at this point was when one of the witnesses was asked, did you ever meet Donald Trump? No. Did you ever massage Donald Trump? No. That's it. That's what you get. And then at one point it's mentioned that somebody visited his casino. That's it. You can search the entire document, and you're not going to get anything like that. You're not going to get anything nefarious at all.
I'm just seeing who people are guessing on who that prime minister is. I'm just going to pin the tweet there and I'll go through guesses. So we wanted to. So Doug points the finger at Tony Blair. Let's see what else people are saying that is. Let's see if anyone's saying Netanyahu. Trudeau's mentioned. Who do we have? Who do you think it is? Trudeau, Blair, Bill Clinton, but Bill Clinton was the president, not the prime minister.
The Jimmy Kimmel has been mentioned now.
Ehud Barak is another one. Sorry, what was that protocol? Ehud Barak, just Trudeau.
Jimmy Kimmel, who made a big fuss against Aaron Rodgers from the deposition. You never did Jimmy Kimmel have twice. Where was he? And you definitely had to do the House of Commons. Did you ever give him a massage? Yes, both times. Did you engage with sex with him? I did. The second time I met him.
Prodigal, where is
that's not Prodigal, that's not real.
That's not in the document, Prodigal.
That's not real.
Not even limited.
I apologize for a second.
Prodigal, don't do that, man.
Don't do it. We already got one.
Yes, so I've just posted, as I've just gone through the names, Tony Blair and Ehud Barak. Boris Johnson is mentioned once, but mainly Tony Blair, a lot of the figures pointed at Barak.
Doesn't his wife engage in witchcraft or some new age spirituality?
But that's not sure what you're French. But let me go back to what we have here.
You can look it up. I'm pretty sure it's already. Yeah, it's not a
Okay, Mike, I see you unmuting.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to talk a little bit about the FBI implications of this. I'm Mike Howell, for those who haven't met yet. I run the litigation arm of the Heritage Foundation, where we're in a ton of litigation versus the FBI. I think what happens next is largely dependent on whether the right questions are asked or not of the FBI. The first question I would ask them, to get the most targeted, lowest, sphere of documents, would be if they provided any defensive briefings. We know that it's practice for the FBI to do it in such incidents like this, where there's a high level of exposure for politically well-connected and powerful people. My guess is several such briefings were offered. One needs to look no further than the use of defensive briefings when they were offered to Grassley and Ron Johnson as ways to thereby leak the information from the defensive briefing, drummed up the whole Russiagate influence into the Hunter Biden laptop narrative. So I highly suspect here that throughout the course of this, there's documents that are out there that the FBI, had in writing in their case files going back to at least 2008, and I suspect more. Jeffrey Epstein and its associations in there. So I suspect that over the course of these years, even going into current day, the FBI has been in constant contact with some of the people whose names are obviously redacted, and then other high-profile individuals on there. And so if I was advising Congress as to exactly what to ask, don't ask for every document that mentions Jeffrey Epstein. You'll get nothing. They're not going to respond to you. But simply ask for the records of all the defensive briefings provided. They are, by course, logged into FBI systems, and I think that gets you to where you need to go, because my sense is a lot were given over the years as really important people pulled their political strings to get a sense of what their exposure was here from the FBI. This is the same pattern of practice we're seeing that plays out against all the political controversies of the day. They all boil down to essentially the FBI acting in one way for political connected people and in a different way for others. The best example I'll end here is obviously how every little lead they had, they turned into a national controversy as related to President Trump. Whereas what we're going to see play out in the Hunter Biden, investigation and potential impeachment of President Trump, or Biden, I'm sorry, his story would be the FBI simply just did not run with the leads that they were provided. Instead acted to, help the politically exposed person. I mean, look at the Secret Service being tipped off when Hunter was about to be served. So I think now's the moment where people understand this, and that's why that question needs to be asked. And I'll stop there.
Mike, let me just jump in. Bushin, I only wanted to interrupt you just because we do have, I won't mention the name, but we do have one of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein in the audience. I've just sent you through an invite. It would be a pleasure to have you on stage. Don't want to mention you or put you on the spot, but I can see you on the stage, so if you want in the audience, so if you want to come up, it would be a pleasure to have you speak. But I do want to go to, in the meantime, I want to go to Derek. Derek, can I show you on mute as well? Derek, can you hear me? Sorry, Derek and Johnny. Derek, go ahead.
Sorry, you cut out before. I didn't hear the kid.
No, I saw it on mute. I thought you wanted to comment on this before going to Johnny.
Johnny, go ahead. Go ahead, Johnny. Take it from here. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Well, talking about what you were just talking about earlier with the FBI, listen, if you want to understand what's been going on in the Epstein case, it changes American history. You don't even understand what has happened. If you want to know what's going on in the Epstein case, you look at John Stanley Pompeo, what he's been involved in before being on the prosecution team alongside Bradley Edwards. And it was mentioned, Bradley Edwards, by Derek Rose. And you look at those people who are on the part. It's a very interesting team. Now, you go back in history, he was very central in signing off the reports for Watergate. The final reports so we found no FBI collusion in the assassination of Martin Luther King, heavily involved in Kent State, heavily involved in Wounded Knee, so ran guns with Jeffrey Epstein in Iran-Contra, was central to setting up the October surprise, lived only 500 meters away from Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach home, both of them buying their homes together when he had already shared an office with Epstein, and admits this in Bradley Edwards' book, The Relentless Pursuit, is written in there. Bradley Edwards himself, the lawyer who goes alongside him, says openly that he believed in Relentless Pursuit that Stanley Pompeo was the CIA. If you go back through history, and you can, I've got a docu-series that started searching for Stanley. I go back to each element that he's been involved in history to understand who gets put in charge of the roles. And I tell you what, it goes even further, because then his son, Matthew Pompeo, who gets made Deputy National Security Advisor under Trump in 2017, that's when I believe the operation began. That's when they set up a company. Pottinger, one of the victims, named here, supposed victim, Maria Farmer, were involved in the scheme that led to the case in 2019 and the death of Jeffrey Epstein. There's a lot more to this case. It changes American history. Go look at more than just the here and now, the names like Trump, Clinton, all of the things, all the salacious gossip. Leave that behind. Look at the bigger picture. Look at what America is. Look at what it is, how it's been used, how people have been tricked, how they've constantly been manipulated by intelligence. And look at it. Look back through history and see the same name, one thread, connect the entirety from Martin Luther King, the assassination of Martin Luther King, all of the way through, going through the biggest moments in history, all of the way to Jeffrey Epstein, the death of Jeffrey Epstein. One name, John Stanley Pottinger. You should go understand what is America, because it changes American history once you realize the same people who were doing the fix back then are still doing the fix today.
I appreciate that, Johnny, and I do want to read just another part that came in, a bit of back and forth. So I'm just going to put that out. So it's talking about, it's one of the witnesses talking about one of the massages that was given. And by the way, just for the audience, the mainstream media is really catching on the Bill Clinton likes them young quote, which I think is probably one of the more concerning parts of the document you've seen. I want to say it's illegal because it will be above 18.
You never saw the Ariana Grande video when he's looking at her in the church?
Alright, so just keeping it serious on the topic. Jeffrey, so this is a back and forth with one of the witnesses. Jeffrey, while you were there on that trip, or was it? So while you were, okay, you said you had given a massage to Jeffrey Epstein while you were on that trip, or was it a subsequent trip? That trip, and how did that come to be? Either he or somebody asked me to go in and do it. Someone showed me to the room, but I don't remember who it was. Can you describe that room? Yes, it was high ceilings, dark. They were like dark red walls, or dark blue walls, or dark blue carpeting, or something. It had a massage table set up in the middle, and there was a large, I want to say like a 15-foot photo, either photo or painting of a naked girl. Pornographic or artistic? No, I wouldn't say pornographic. Artistic. So was Ghislaine Maxwell present during the massage? No. Did something about that particular massage session stand out to you? Yes. That was when I was first asked to squeeze and rub his nipples while he pleasured himself. And did he say that's what he's going to do? Yes. He was just very blunt about it. He said, rub my nipples, I'm going to jerk off. I was like, no, done. You walked out? I did. Was there any repercussions for you walking out? Amazingly, no. Knowing that what I know now, I'm surprised I was never ever called back. But no, I was just stood my ground and walked out. I'm not comfortable with that. Do you know personally whether anyone else had said that? No. Did anyone else tell you that they had been in a massage scenario and told them no? No. Do you recall when in your trip the massage occurred? Well, it's not the day we landed. It must have been the next day. And they were there. The next day that they were there. Do you remember anything about Virginia from that trip, other than Prince Andrew thing and Phantom of the Opera? Well, we were getting ready. Virginia was one of the key witnesses here. And while we were getting ready to leave to go to the airport, and we were waiting, she and I just sat on the steps in the foyer. I do remember just kind of asking me a few questions to try to understand her role, because at that point...
Mario, Mike.
Okay, let me think to Mike. But can someone tell us who Virginia is, just for the audience?
Virginia's the victim. So, just out of curiosity, while Mario processes his mic.
I'm back, I think it should be working now. Yes, we're good now. Can you hear me? Yeah, so... yeah, cool. So you said who Virginia is for the audience before I continue.
She's the victim.
The victim, I think is she the one that implicated Prince Andrew? Does anyone know? I'm just not keeping up with the names anymore.
Let me double check.
Derek and Johnny would know, I think. Sure, Derek, Johnny, Virginia. Can you tell us quickly, tell the audience who Virginia is? Derek,
I can
Johnny.
tell you that.
Please, John.
Virginia entered into the case. I mean, she was assistant, hired at Mar-a-Lago, made lots of accusations afterwards during the case in 2013. It started in 2013 in the sense because she went and got interviewed by the FBI in Australia, and then she came back in 2014, got together with Bradley Edwards, and eventually with Louis and Pottinger to form basically the base of the victims who were in Jeffrey Epstein. She was very...
Did she implicate Prince Andrew, Johnny?
Yes.
So, a lot of the witnesses were asked about it. Well, we're getting ready to leave to go to the airport, and we're waiting. G and I, so that's a witness in Virginia, sat on the steps of the foyer. I do remember just kind of asking me a few questions to try to understand her role. Because at that point now, I knew that he wanted what he wanted from me. But she did not make it clear to me that she was participating in that. So I was prodding gently to see if there was anything happening that shouldn't have been. Because I was getting the impression that she was. She told me she was 17. So underage. She told you she was 17. How did that come up? I asked her, was anyone present during this conversation? No. You mentioned in your earlier testimony that she seemed orphan-like. Yes. But you said that was something you had said that Miss Coley, correct? Said to Miss Coley.
Miss Macaulay, correct? Correct. That was not said at the time? Right. No, at the time I was getting an impression that she did not have a family, or she had walked away from her family. And it seemed to me, you know, that I just sort of adopted her. Not as a child, but they would take care of her. Did you observe anyone speaking to her as a child? Like, make up your bed? No. Did you observe whether she was using drugs during that trip? No. So it's just a back and forth here with one of the witnesses. Times of Israel put out a story that just now, hold on. Okay, Ehud Barak is really getting implicated, and I think you shared that in the group. That's an old story, I think. The 4th of May 2023, a while ago.
Yeah, no, I didn't say it was.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But it's just interesting. You pointed out it's interesting that Barak, so Ehud Barak met with Jeffrey Epstein dozens of times, flew on private plane. So that's a former Prime Minister of Israel. So he met Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions, and some people are saying that could be the Prime Minister that had girls trafficked to him. So we have Ehud Barak, we have Tony Blair, Trudeau, but the two main ones, Tony Blair and Ehud Barak, and both of them are obviously countries that are allied with the US, which maybe that's why it's redacted, because they're allied and that's national security risk. That's just a guess, unless Tira or anyone else jumps in and says you're wrong. And Johnny gave me a thumbs up.
No, you're right. Ehud Barak was in business with Jeffrey Epstein, with the lady I would talk about in the gentleman and Peter Thiel, a business called Carbine 911, which intends to get between your 911, you and 911. So when you call 911 instead, you're going to call Ehud Barak's Carbine 911. It's quite a dystopian idea, and they've already got contracts in New Orleans under COVID and other places, so it's up and running. And that was Jeffrey Epstein invested, that was Peter Thiel invested, that was Nicole Yuckerman, and Ehud Barak was heading it.
Alright, so I've just got some more information on the search warrant